to Benvenuto Cellini. Cellini is a metal worker. He's an artist who works with sculpture, and he specializes in large metal sculptures. Cellini is hired to create a number of sculptures, perhaps most notably a sculpture Perseus. Now this is a Greek hero who killed Medusa, lady with snakes for hair. It's a lost wax bronze statue, a beautiful statue. Cellini actually creates this statue for public exhibition. What I want you to notice about the statue, there's nothing religious about the statue. This is a Greek mythology statue with no pretenses of being religious in any way. The tide has shifted here. We don't have to add in religious content. We don't have to double Perseus as a person from the Bible like Botticelli did with La Primavera, where it was springtime and merry. Instead, artists are creating artworks that are completely secular for kings and princes. Cellini is not the kind of guy who would work for the church. While he's creating this statue of Perseus, he actually dictates his own autobiography to one of his assistants. And Cellini is a bad boy, and he's proud of it, man. I mean, he talks about being accused of rape, being accused of sodomy, and whether or not he was guilty. He talks about how many men he's murdered and what the circumstances were. He is not ashamed of being a bad boy. In fact, like many rock stars, he kind of feels it makes him a celebrity. But he sure as heck isn't someone the church would want to hire. And yet Cellini does really well for himself. Why? Because Cellini caters to kings and princes, people who want artwork for their palaces. They don't want to pay for artwork to go in the church. They want artwork to beautify their own homes, their own places of power. So you end up with artworks like this. This is one of Cellini's pieces. This is actually a salt cellar. Yeah, that holds salt. During this time period, salt is incredibly valuable, and one of the most common places to find salt is on the seashore or on sandbars, as the salt water of the ocean evaporates and leaves behind salt crystals. Cellini is hired to create this salt holder for a king, and so he portrays the earth. That's the chick on the left. Yes, and before you ask, she's pinching her nipple. Deal with it. Who represents Mother Earth. And she's facing an image of the ocean. You can see the trident in his hand. And their legs are intertwined, just as at the ocean shore, the beach, the land and the sea are intermingled where the tide comes in. This elaborate salt holder is created by Cellini, and again, kings are not hiring Cellini to create stuff for in the church. We left the Renaissance behind, where everything is created for the church. You buy something to go in the church so that everyone sees your PR. Instead, kings are more interested in national concerns, like Henry VIII's act of supremacy. We are doing things, more and more kings are doing things that enlarge their own power, put them in a more important position. Gradually, guys, there's beginning to be a shift. More and more power and money is shifting away from being in the church to being in the pockets of kings and princes. Instead of a moral obligation, more and more we are seeing people looking at the good of their country, not the good of an international church. Part of that comes from the shift of faith from something public, where you go to church 6 days a week, to something more private, where yes, you go to church, but the true test of your faith is at home, in your private prayers, your private worship, how you treat the family. And there is a constant shift between whether you want to reform the strong central Catholic Church or whether you want to join one of the splinter groups. We're starting to see a shift from religious to secular here. There's starting to begin to be a separation between church and state that we haven't seen before. And that shift is due to the mental ideas introduced by Martin Luther and those who took Luther's his Protestant ideas, and pushed them to their final conclusion.